picks and bans with CJ Entus versus KT Rollsters. And the first ban has yet to be chosen.
Just going to wait on that. Will Arrow go back to the Kog'Maw? KT can play some Protect the Kog'Maw compositions, as we've seen. And there's the Annie actually banned against Peekaboo, something that we've been seeing more banned on blue side these days. Not really first pick worthy, but definitely first pick on red side worthy.
Yeah.
And it's becoming increasingly popular in terms of priority. There is Maokai, of course, one of Sunday's most influential champions on the game. Gragas going to be banned out. Score not so much a Gragas player.
Yeah.
Ambition is, however.
Yeah, and Gragas is such a versatile champion. He is strong. He has a strong early game. He has a strong late game. Very big, beefy front line, and just synergizes with so many different team compositions as well. So I think it's a good ban that KT Rollster gave out, as long as if Score isn't so comfortable on that champion. And Rise taken out next.
Yeah, Rise actually banned on the blue side. Reminder, we are on patch 5.12, but we've seen some very impressive Rise games so far. Even yesterday, Kuve from Samsung carrying very hard on that champion. So in spite of the nerfs, he remains ban-worthy for the most part. Now, is the Alistair going to go down here, or will it be the Evelynn?
Okay.
Bit of a surprise, because actually Score usually is the one to have Evelynn banned against him.
Yeah.
And that'll maybe lead to this Rek'Sai first pick.
Well, so if CJ Entus ends up going with this Rek'Sai, I feel like KT Rollster might take Lee Sin in response just to match that aggression. And Score has played Lee Sin this season.
Also the possibility that he goes for an Echo here, which is something that, like I said, is rising in terms of its popularity. And you can see the flash of the Yasuo from Sunday reminding CJ of their last defeat, and that will be an Echo lock-in. And also the Azir
Very early
coming
pick.
through. Well, most teams ban Azir against CJ because Coco is amazing on that champion, so you have to take it early, I feel.
Okay. Well, then let's see the next set of champions that CJ Entus wants to take in their turn of the draft, and looks like Alistair being covered right now.
Yeah, Alistair, of course, strong pick. Want to take that one early if you can get it. Peekaboo still has that Thresh, which he can do quite well with. Also, they could just take Janna and play a Protect the Cog comp here with the Azir very easily.
Definitely. So Rumble and Alistair look like the hovers. CJ Entus still has 15 seconds.
Yeah, the Rumble for Helper, he just didn't have a great Rumble game against Jin. He missed a lot of equalizers, actually. Looked like it might be a nerves issue. Maybe he's calmed down in the booth now that it's just going to be his second time in there as a professional player.
I have to say, though, his equalizer got better as the game went on.
They did, but there were some pretty... There were some stinkers early.
That mid-game, equalizer that the NA equalizer right there. But, I don't know. I feel like since he's debuted now, that his nerves have been settled a little bit. So, all right. But Janna and Gnar are the hovers.
So almost certainly a Kog'Maw coming in here for KT. They're just waiting to see what the bottom lane is going to be to make sure they can get away with it. But heavy carry protection, huge zones, and disengage from, of course, the Azir and the Echo. They have a very substantial front line. And CJ, they're so far reliant on MadLife's Alistair for their primary engage. Interestingly, Sivir falling very far down the draft. Sivir would be a good pickup for CJ Entus here.
So they might take the Kog'Maw away.
No, they're not going to take the Kog'Maw. They're trolling with Kog'Maw and Draven because they know what's coming. It's going to be one of those two.
Yeah.
But the Kog'Maw take here, CJ doesn't have a lot of peel for Kog'Maw with this composition, so taking it away would be a little bit risky. Of course, the Runeglaive Ezreal double poke could be the name of the game for CJ Entus. Coco, a player who is very good on these long-range champions, and I'm sure his Ezreal would be surprising. I think Sivir Ezreal is a much better choice for them.
Yeah. If they had taken Corki and gone for the classic poke comp right there with the poke mid lane and Corki, they would have had way too much magic damage, and it would have been pretty easy to itemize against them.
Yes, I agree. And also, you want the Sivir to be further forward with this style of composition. You want to go for that mid game. And you need more all-in. You need more engage tools because of how much disengage KT has already selected. So having that Corki and trying to play poke wars against Azir and Kog'Maw with a Corki and an Ezreal may not be the best choice here.
But Rune Glaive Ezreal still does a lot of damage, so... Well, so CJ Entus currently...
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. Oh, dear. We're gonna enter the League of Draven today.
Oh, boy.
Well, okay, so to be fair to Arrow, Draven is a very good matchup against Sivir. Very, very good.
Yeah.
It favors the Draven very heavily, especially with the Janna protecting him.
I don't disagree with you,
Yeah.
Barry. I just see that if there's a lane swap here and the Draven doesn't get going, and we see 1 or 2 Draven games out of Arrow every single season, and yes, he's a great Draven player, but it is so hard to win in the competitive scene with Draven. And sure, he's got a lot of peel here, but CJ also has a ton of mid-game damage to punish the Draven pick. I am just unconvinced. I mean, sure, if he goes off this game, it's going to be easy because he has so much protection that he's just going to hammer through the CJ lineup. But if he can't get those early kills or get that early dominance, it's going to be very problematic for KT.
Yeah, and KT lacks that reliable hard engage. So primary hard engage rather. So we'll see if they're able to do what they want to do with this composition.
Well, they're basically reliant on edge if they want to engage, and beyond that, they're going to have to focus mostly on kiting or just straight up winning the laning phase, which is a possibility. I mean, we take a look at the lane so far. Gnar should have the advantage on Rumble. Azir should have the advantage on Ezreal early. So standard lanes favor KT. Let's see how it goes. Get into the game. KT versus CJ.
Alright, so we have the new pool party skins out today with Draven and his little squeaky axes.
And Rek'Sai as well.
Oh, man. My favorite thing about the Rek'Sai skin is the little tugboat he rides when he goes...
The jet ski. It's not a tugboat.
It looks like a tugboat to me. I don't know. It makes a tugboat sound.
Have you ever seen a tugboat?
Oh. And then it just said, well, today looks like a good angle for chicken. And I think that was his gamer tag, Crazy Boy or something like that. That's what I could decipher from that one, Monte Cristo.
It is a good day for chicken.
I want some chicken right now, actually.
Well, you can't eat while you cast, Barry. That's one of the first and primary rules of being a caster. I'm sorry.
From fossils to gasoline. I have no idea what that was referencing. Alright, so it looks like that KT is preemptively trying to call a lane swap.
Yes, they definitely are trying to call the lane swap, but unfortunately, this is not going to work out for them, and this is a very good situation for CJ Entus.
Yep.
The standard lane's definitely highly in favor of KT, and, you know, Peekaboo not really on a support that he's going to be able to easily roam into lane with to affect the situation in these other lanes, but maybe Arrow can punish Helper if he's in that 1v1. We do see the freeze going for Arrow, and then Janna going for a little trip through the jungle right now onto the other side, and Alistair looks like it's going to be a little bit late. Mad Life will be a little bit late to disrupt the blue.
Well, Ambition finally learned his lesson and didn't start on the side of the jungle that his duo isn't on.
Yeah, well, Mad Life here now.
Whoa,
Someday getting a little bit low. He's going to be Mega Gnar soon enough, however, and Mad Life, he's about 50% of his HP. Mad Life not able to take any of those little golems either, so...
Alistair not the best for that, in my opinion.
I mean, if you can get in there and harass early, you're going to be all right. But the blue was already dead by the time he got there, so Mad Life a little bit delayed. Not expecting the lane swap to occur, whereas KT much more on the ball. So Someday comes in with the teleport after that, and Ambition now on the top side, just going to be there to protect, possibly. Peekaboo sticking for a while in the lane, actually, just hiding in the brush. Well, that's interesting.
Arrow goes down to place that ward. And CJ seems to suspect that something's going on in the brush right there.
Yeah, Helper's taking a little bit of damage from Peekaboo. Peekaboo has to back off with his shield. But otherwise, they will get this freeze. Peekaboo just playing around with the Rumble right now to make sure that he can't move forward, get any kind of gold or experience, or break the freeze that's developing. And this is going to mean that Draven will get a lot of stacks before he actually gets into a position to kill someone. And that is very scary. They have to kill the Draven, because if out of a lane freeze the Draven comes through, that's going to be pretty problematic if he gets that first kill.
So if you're CJ Entus right now, well, it looks like Ambition making waves into the top lane, and he is probably going to try to help break this freeze right now.
He's just here to break the freeze. There's not really a lot of kill threat from him and Helper at the moment. They know he's there, so Helper just going to try and get some CS while they push back Peekaboo and Arrow just a hair.
Right, and in the bottom lane, Someday went Mega Gnar. He's going to be transitioning out of that very soon. And Score making his way down there as well. So both junglers trying to help their top laners right now break freezes.
Yeah, forcing them to take a little bit of damage from these minions, but Peekaboo and Arrow still going to hold on to the freeze in the end, keeping it outside of the turret range. So not really a very successful mission right there. Here we go, Space getting caught. There's the parallel convergence. Mad Life is stunned significantly. Is that going to be the first blood? Score dives in. It isn't enough. They back out under the turret. Someday doesn't want to flash. They got two summoners out of the bottom side.
Yeah. And Helper in trouble here right now.
There's the exhaust. Spinning axes coming in. And Ambition going to pop out of the ground. There's a flash. Arrow really wants it. Just trading flash for flash. They're in the minion line, though. They have to be careful. Arrow saw the skirmish on the bottom side and wanted to go ahead and take a risk. Score coming back around now. Parallel convergence is going to be blocked by the spell shield from Space, but there's the Womp. Someday and Score get first blood as Echo doubles back around through the tri-brush for the kill onto Space. Great gank from Score.
Yeah, CJ Entus also should have expected him to maybe possibly make a comeback in that lane, but Ambition also been sticking around in that top lane for a very long time, so almost no trouble for KT Rolster in that one.
Right, and like you're saying, you have to expect that. They burned two summoners for nothing from KT, so why not just come and make another play? And because Ambition is just showing on the map constantly, there's no threat. If you look right now, Edge is having a good time in the mid lane, just keeping him bottled up. A nice delay from Peekaboo.
Yeah.
That is very annoying. He is really, I mean, KT has tied up Ambition in this top lane without doing much of anything for a long time.
Yeah, and the CS difference is starting to show along with the items as well, and both junglers opting for the Stalker's Blade today.
Now, on that all-in, you can tell how desperate Arrow and Peekaboo were. They used three summoners, and they only got a flash out of Helper. So it was a nice defense, legitimately, by CJ to make sure that this Draven didn't pick up an early kill as he comes back to lane with a Vamp Scepter. But that is still a bit of a rough situation because KT was kind of making aggressive plays on both sides of the map, and that's really what this composition allows them to do. Coco isn't going to have a chance to roam against the Azir for a while until he actually gets that Runeglaive and is able to use the AoE from the Q on Runeglaive to clear out the wave more effectively, as well as getting the smite. So it's going to be a bit dicey for a while, but KT playing appropriately aggressive.
Yeah, and we'll also have to see if Coco decides to opt into the Rangers Trailblazer as opposed to the Skirmisher Saber that some people have been kind of switching between.
I think you have to go Trailblazer against this Azir.
Yeah.
I don't think you have a choice. Otherwise, you're going to lose your tower.
Definitely. All right, well, even with all that happening, Ambition's still up in experience over Score, level 5 to level 4.
Well, he was in lane for longer, so that is a big factor right now. Someday just throwing some houses, keep the wave off of his turrets. Helper actually slightly ahead in terms of CS. He has had Ambition there in the lane constantly just zoning for him, so he was able to walk up, take a little bit more. But this has been a little bit of a weird game so far, Barry. We don't normally see this much jungle action in the lanes early in a lane swap.
Yeah, usually you see the supports moving, making their way towards that one of the top laners that was getting denied, and I think maybe this might be a result of both lanes being frozen because sometimes teams just one team tends to want a fast push, one team wants a freeze, so then you get this weird dynamic that builds up.
Sure, and a big part of that too is that Rumble is ranged, so that KT felt more comfortable having Someday try and break the freeze a little bit more by himself in that scenario, whereas basically Ambition wanted to go into the top side to assist Helper, and I think that's one of the things with Helper being a rookie as well. Maybe they're less confident in his ability to deal with this lane swap, and so Ambition trying to give him a little bit of a boost in a tough situation. Now, Pink Ward in the brush, he knows Ambition is there, but there's not going to be a play made. He and Peekaboo going to go in, though. Ambition going to have to back off, gets hit by the slow.
You can easily get out.
Yeah, Peekaboo, maybe could have recalled and gone a little bit earlier there. Score had got the information with that Pink Ward, didn't want to take the red buff, didn't want to play quite that risky. I think he probably could have gone for it, considering that Edge has control over mid, but
yeah,
it's all right.
We'll see what... It looks like there's going to be a blue buff contest right now for CJ, for KT Volster on CJ Antis' blue buff. They get rid of that Pink Ward there.
Okay, parallel convergence coming in. Now Score going to hop forward with the Time Winder in the phase dive. Nope. Has to back out. Edge is there. They're going to grab the Pink Ward, and Score will have a good time clearing out some of these tunnels to prevent Ambition, and they're just going to decide to trade blues. This is definitely the way you want to play it right now.
Yep.
If you're CJ, you're not really going to be comfortable walking into your own blue side, but no problem with going ahead and taking a blue buff away from KT, while Sivir has completely zoned Someday off of the tower.
Yeah, and look
TP coming in, and they're going to dive Helper. There's the equalizer. It already cleared out the wave. They've got to wait. Can they prevent him from going through? Score coming around the outside. They want to bottle him up. They're going to dive him anyway. Helper getting low. Score is going to pick up the kill in the end, and very low. Probably single-digit HP right there. Peekaboo did tank most of those turret shots. Coco doesn't have True Shot Barrage. Now he's got it.
Well, I don't think he's going to get much of anything with that one.
He's going to clear the wave. So that does something, but Draven not getting the kill there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is what they were really looking for.
And KT Rolster invested so much in that too. They invested that teleport, and so CJ will have that teleport advantage and takes the dragon off of it.
And a tower, tier 1 tower on the bottom side. So they really committed to that. Helper's use of the equalizer on that wave bought him enough time. And now Edge going to go and bounce Coco up, but the teleport is coming in from Helper. They need to leave. And it gets canceled in the end. But Peekaboo missed his tornado after the Emperor's Divide came through.
Well, Coco, I think, will be fairly safe right now and can finish up this wave and possibly head back. His ultimate is up, so he won't have any trouble clearing out the wave should it be pushed back in.
Yeah, so Arrow still looking for that Bloodthirster, but KT, we take a look at this so far. The gold is actually relatively even. Those 2 kills doing work to make up for the lost turret, but CJ still playing a cleaner objective game so far, but how long? Because KT still has a pretty nice pressure edge here, and they're not able to do much to keep these champions off the turrets. And Space has to be pretty worried right now about Arrow now that they're in the 1v1. We now have the lanes that KT wanted, and KT fearless about playing forward even with that turret down, because since they have control over mid, you can see Score and Peekaboo doing such a great job of warding that side of the jungle.
They have so many wards in CJ Antis' jungle. They know exactly what's going on at any given moment where Ambition is going to be as well. So there's just no surprises that CJ Antis can give KT.
And Coco just out of mana right now while Edge just pushes forward, constantly getting damage onto that turret. So KT, and this was one of the big... Mad Life gets caught. He went into the wrong side of the jungle without that vision, gets knocked up by the tornado. Space is there, but not going to land the boomerang blade, and he has to leave Arrow alone. There's some more money for Draven on the solo turret kill. And when we saw KT versus Najin, oh Jesus, constant action. Ambition's going to get out though.
Yeah, CJ Entus just can't move past their river at all. They are not even safe in their own jungle right now.
No, and this is what the standard lanes, the pick and ban did for KT. CJ had more freedom early, but now it's becoming harder and harder. Runeglaive is done, though, so that's going to buy them a little bit of breathing room, even though there's not much HP left on that mid lane turret.
Yeah.
Now, when we watch the KT versus Najin game, one of the things that we noticed that KT remarkably improved on was deep warding. Score and Peekaboo work really well together at that.
Yeah, and Janna, great for deep warding as well. So much movement speed, especially if once you get your boots of mobility. And right now she only has just the boots, the regular boots. But even with that, just leveling up the W lets you move so quickly in there. And Echo has a lot of ways to get out in case he gets caught while warding as well. So, yeah, these two players just really just dominating CJ Entus in terms of vision right now. And that pink ward at the red buff is still up for KT Rolster.
Well, basically, CJ can't walk there. And they know they can't walk there because if they walk there, they just simply do not have presence. And Score has been just running circles around Ambition this game when it comes to jungling. So looks like they're just going to back off right now, try and get the Scuttle Crab instead. They'll finally clear out that pink ward that you mentioned.
Well,
that was a value ward, though.
Lasted there for a good, I think, 7 minutes, 7 minutes plus. Well, Arrow just getting those stacks on stacks on stacks, but will he be able to cash in is going to be the big question. KT really wants to get him that gold lead, but a lot of investment and just no return so far.
No return so far, but he just needs that one kill. The Bloodthirster done. He's going to be in a nice power spike by the time the Dragon comes around because more than likely Space is not going to finish that Infinity Edge, and that is taken by
CJ, I think.
Yeah, CJ looks like they grabbed it in the end.
Well, KT Rolster looks like they want to push mid now.
Well, they need this turret down before the Dragon strikes. That will make their lives a lot easier, and it is so low. They just need a couple hits, and Arrow can go ahead and tank the turret a little bit with that Bloodthirster shield A-OK.
Yep. Well, meanwhile, Space is just going to push up the bottom lane, and KT is heavily investing on the top side of the jungle. With Dragon coming up in a minute and 30, I'm not sure if this is the right place you want wards right now.
Yeah, they don't have... KT doesn't have the best vision. A lot of that was cleared out, and Space going to go ahead and start the blue buff. So what is KT going to do? They could just try and push mid and top and get 2 turrets in exchange for the Dragon, but I think they may be hankering to fight. They've got some nice item power spikes going, and Coco isn't that strong yet.
No, he is not. He doesn't have very much AP, but he can still get a lot of poke off, especially with the Ionian Boots of Lucidity right now.
Score's going to pop through the wall onto the Gromp. Doesn't want to box in Helper underneath his turret quite yet. That's going to be... Score.
That's some good damage.
Yeah, Score needs to be very careful about that.
Well, Helper also worried about the Echo ultimate, so didn't go for the all-in, I think. And meanwhile, CJ trying to give KT's get a bit of their own medicine.
Well, they've got to push out now. The mid turret remains standing, so that is very helpful for CJ Entus as they have the vision control and they have the pressure on the bottom lane.
Yeah, so that's a lot of damage this early.
That is a lot of damage, but he's not going to have it up for the Dragon fight if it occurs. Wow, mass recall from CJ right on Dragon Spawn. They are very confident. They do have the Void Rush to get back there, but...
Well, both teleports are up for both top laners. And looks like KT Rolster starting to make some plays for vision right now. Ambition, just making sure where KT are.
That was very bold from CJ to recall right then. They were very confident that KT was not going to go in without first pushing out the bottom wave. And with the lack of vision that they had, it turned out to be a good gamble, but still could have given that Dragon up for not very much at all.
And Someday just showed in the top lane right as his Mega Gnar ran out. So if there's a window for CJ to maybe go for a team fight, the window is now, I think. But Someday, no longer exhausted, building up that rage.
Yeah, he's getting close, and This is what they want, and Coco is there over the wall. Mad Life's still going to try and zone in the choke right now. Space coming down. Are they going to commit to this? Looks like the answer is yes. There's the headbutt pulverized. Parallel Converge is going to zone everyone out of the pit, though. Mad Life has popped his ultimate. Here comes Nar. Someday has his rage bar full. Peekaboo playing the outside, trying to zone out the rest of the team, but Edge not able to do much, and KT just doesn't have that primary engage, so CJ able to scatter and get out okay.
Well, True Sharp Barrage goes through, doesn't do much. And KT Rolster is just going to commit to this mid push now, but against this Runeglaive Ezreal and the Sivir, I don't think they have a chance.
Well, there is no True Shot Barrage, so they only need a couple of hits. And that was, I mean, KT a little bit late to that engagement.
Yep. And Score looking for the flank right now, and the Parallel Convergence goes down. Let's see what they want to do. KT Rolster still playing a little bit cautious.
Score's use of W this game has been very good.
Yeah, very good.
He's been doing it very aggressively, hitting the timings right to buy the time for the zones for his team. It's probably the best use of W that we've seen here in Korea so far that I remember.
Yep. And here goes another True Shot Barrage over the top of the mid lane creep waves, and CJ really looking to hold this, but that mid lane turret looks like it's about to go down soon.
Score is still trying to just pressure them off the tower. Space has very little mana to keep wave clearing at the current time.
Yeah, same with Coco. And yeah, both of their wave clears down on mana, and they're still getting good poke off. Some days at half health, but we'll be transitioning into Meganar very soon.
I mean, CJ has no mana. If KT commits to this for a couple more waves, they should be able to eventually get this turn. What is Space doing? Actually has to Parallel Convergence coming in from the outside. Flash and the Monsoon from Peekaboo. Space is certainly going down. Score picks up the kill with the Chrono Break, and there's a Gnar into the side. Ambition and Coco locked up behind the turret, and are we going to see Mad Life die? Also, yes, we will. Helper picks up Peekaboo. Helper with a double kill already. Can he get in range of Score? Actually, no. Score gonna juke the other way. Gets saved by Someday, but did Arrow get a kill in any of that is the question.
No, he did not.
No, he did not.
3 assists.
Oh, he had two. He had one before. He got 2 assists in that dive, but they got the turret. So a favorable trade for KT Rolster, even though Helper picks up a couple of kills. However, Arrow still needs that money. And that was just such good echo play from Space. Look at, or from Score coming in, actually gets the Chrono Break down and buys enough time. And Peekaboo had a good engage for the dive under the tower. Everyone lined up right there, but a 5-man equalizer comes in from Helper so that he can at least get a couple of kills in that engagement. And that was a great equalizer.
Yeah, much better than last time. And KT just going for this blue buff again. That mid lane turn has finally fallen for KT Rolster, and the gold lead is in their favor by 1.4k. But CJ is still up on Dragons, and I think if we have to go into the late game, I give it to CJ Entis right now.
Yes, unless if you talk about the late game, they are extremely scary with the Sivir and the Ezreal. I mean, KT is no slouch in the late game either, but this Draven needs to get rolling, that's for sure.
I think he's sitting at 400-something stacks right now. Couldn't really get a good look earlier. But, Coco doesn't get a blue buff, I think. So that's a little bit painful for him. But he's very close to his Luden's Echo. Very, very close.
Yes, he is. All eyes on Arrow. Gone for the armor penetration on the last Whisper next. But, I mean, he's got so much gold saved up at this point with his CS scores that, I mean, if he gets a kill, that's going to be like a full item right now. It's going to be a lot.
It's going to be ridiculous. But Arrow just furiously farming right now, at least to trying to make up for his lack of kills, but he needs to convert those stacks. He really, really needs to. Yeah,
and he was so close. The Whirling Death. Space actually had to spell shield the second tick of it coming back through.
Yeah. Had
he not done that, may have not been a good time for him underneath the turret. But, you know, Score, 100% kill contribution rate so far, and he's just been having an outstanding game. Yeah, and KT looking to establish control over the bottom side jungle of CJ Entis, and they maybe want to take this tier 2, but they're just going to back off. More true shot barraging. No, this is the time where if you're KT, look, you have the turret advantage, you have that slight gold advantage. You need to keep fighting now before Coco gets too crazy. Yes, he's got the Echo. This is a good power spike for Ezreal, but you know, the closer he gets to 6 items, the more insane this Runeglaive Ezreal becomes in terms of damage. So now is the time for KT. They need to fight and snowball now off of this dragon fight. If CJ's smart, they'll just give it up. I mean, frankly, from CJ's perspective, screw this dragon. You already have 2. You know you're going to get Coco to the late game. Why fight now? Go ahead. Take out mid turret. Take out top turret.
Yeah,
try and even up that gold score and just let him have the dragon.
Yeah, right now it looks to be a 2K goal lead for KT Rolster, and most of it was invested in those kills, so it equalized very quickly, as you said, once they take those towers. And meanwhile, Someday just pushing up that top wave, and both teleports are up, and Dragon will be up in 15 seconds.
Yeah, Someday well itemized against the AP damage so far.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have any armor. Well, he has a little bit of armor, and that Sivir does have Infinity Edge, and soon to the Static Shift will follow very soon. Okay. Dragon is up, activated by CJ Entus.
I mean, I think CJ shouldn't commit to this. If you get some lucky poke,
yeah,
maybe you can go ahead and force them off, but I think committing to this dragon might be quite silly. Last time we saw Score do a great job of zoning the mouth of the pit with the parallel convergence. Someday just sitting there with nearly full rage. Arrow pushing up on the bottom side, and CJ is rightfully being very tentative about taking this dragon.
And Someday in that flank right now. His rage is running low. And, well, they want to contest it, I think, CJ Entus. They don't want to give it up for free. They might be able to get a lucky steal with Coco using his his Q and his ultimate, but there may be a fight that breaks out soon.
Here we go. TP coming in on the Rek'Sai tunnel. Helper is here.
Someday is in such a good position, though, even though he's only at half rage.
And there we go. Score's going to secure the dragon.
Oh,
CJ
dear.
now trying to get out of the pit. They pop the Sivir ultimate, parallel convergence. Someday full rage. They got to be careful. Going to knock him right into Meganar. KT gets poked and starts to disengage using those Sand Soldiers to hold off CJ. So nice play by CJ. Just go ahead. Now they didn't trade. They could have just all walked into the top side of the map and tried to take down a tower instead, but they decided to go for the poke. However, they still get the disengage, and maybe, just maybe, they can take out this mid lane turret too.
Yeah, but CJ had to use that teleport, and meanwhile Someday still has his, so there is a teleport advantage for KT Rolster, but oof.
Oof. That is the sound of watching Runeglaive Ezreal.
Yep. Well, Someday still pushing furiously. They're going to have to send someone real soon. And if they send Helper to deal with that, that could be a possible 4v5 for KT Rolster.
Someday maybe looking for a flank right here.
Yeah, he's
going to get seen in
he's
the
at
river.
3/4 rage.
Uh-oh, parallel convergence comes in, not going to hit anybody. Ambition gets jumped on with a phase dive. Mad Life just going to disengage with a headbutt. They got a long way to go. Someday gets it with the one. Huge Gnarled into the wall. There's the equalizer, but it's going to only mitigate the damage that's already done. Someday coming up with a big hop flash play for a kill onto space.
And Coco has no mana, so he can't even poke them away.
No, KT should just do Baron right now.
Yep. Well, KT Rolster, they're looking to maybe back off, but Someday is recalling, but he does have his teleport.
Yes, exactly. You know, they're trying to get the blue buff here, but you know, when you put down that Azir turret, they're going to get a tier 2. They put down the Azir turret. Let's take a look at this one again, because Someday comes in. Look at the rage timing on that too.
Yeah.
4-man Gnar ult, and look, Edge just going to come in with his combo on Azir, and Space just doesn't even have a chance.
Yeah, but Helper really doing work to save the day for CJ Entus. He got a great equalizer in that fight.
Yeah, he did. Had that equalizer not been placed right where it was, it would have been a disaster for CJ. Now, they had the mid bottled up. They decided to go for the safe play, which was the tier 2 turret, but had somebody immediately recalled and then TP'd in, I think they may have been able to pull a Baron out of that one.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, Someday with the Randuin's Omen now, he's a pretty tanky Gnar right now. And he decent amount of magic resist too with that Hex Trigger and that Spectre's Cowl. And Spectre's Cowl, very good against Poke.
Whoop. Another blue buff. Not going to Coco.
Yeah, Coco's getting so denied. He's going to need some form of mana regen, I feel like, in terms of itemization at this rate. Well, they want to push Arrow away, maybe kill him and take away half of his stacks, but nope. Nothing is committed to by CJ Entus, and Someday just constantly pushing.
This is the world's saddest Dravenberry. 4 assists at 28 minutes and no kills.
You know, KT Roaster tried so hard to, well, they didn't try so hard. They tried to call the lane swap. If they really wanted that standard lane, they should have gone for those deep wards at level 1.
I mean, honestly, that's not a very good insurance, but CJ may not be wanting to make this trade right now. There is an Azir on the enemy team, and there's a Sheen Draven running up the lane. They just gave up an inhibitor turret for free.
Oh, they might give up this inhibitor as well.
What is CJ doing? They really committed to that top side, but not a lot of respect.
Equalizer.
No, the inhibitor doesn't go down. They're trying to kite out. Somebody doesn't have any rage, so they just need to back off. Wow, they barely did not take out the inhibitor. Well, it was one hit away.
Yeah, and CJ's still chasing. But I don't know. A lot of ultimates are still up for KT Roaster, with the exception of the Monsoon.
Yeah, you can't commit to that. Space also used his Sivir ult to get his team back to save the inhibitor, which was the difference between that inhibitor staying up and going down. Someday is on a secret mission through the enemy jungle.
I think Mad Life is onto him.
He's going to have to kill himself.
Oh! Smart man.
And he's got TP. If he can bait Mad Life into... Oh, there's a Void Rush.
There's the jet ski.
He's just going to die. Okay.
Wall.
Are they going to go for a Baron in response, though?
Well, Someday's wasting so much time right now.
He's got 2 people down there. He's going to turn into Meganar. That's even more time. And there's the TP. There's no more crowd control. Goodbye.
Oh.
There's the headbutt. There's the Gnar. He dies.
Well, this is a power play now for CJ Entus. They can push up this mid turret.
But they only have 3 people there, however. Meanwhile, KT still has 4 in the lanes because of Someday's little adventure to kill the inhibitor. Turned out to be a good call. Someday, I guess, not really keeping track of the cooldown on that crowd control because he should have waited for both of those CC, the knockup and the headbutt / pull to be down before trying that TP. It was kind of a waste.
I think the reasoning was that Mad Life was just probably going to sit on that headbutt for a long time, so might as well just go for it at that point.
No, because then you burn the cooldown and you put your team in a hole in terms of the TP presence on the map. So I think you just die there, honestly.
Well, most ultimates up for CJ Entus right now. Meanwhile,
I think Arrow might be breaking some sort of Draven stack record this game without ever actually cashing in.
I think that belongs to Cop, I think.
Never cashing in. Poor, poor Draven.
Well, sitting down. Well, we're going to go back to a lull. While teams just kind of form a zone, but that dragon has come up now.
It's not going to be a very long lull, methinks. Especially since all those super minions are still in mid, and with the tier 1 not even destroyed yet for KT.
Well, Someday is on the side. They got CJ Entus snarled up.
Yep, and there they are. They're in the choke. They have to be careful about an equalizer. Here comes Rumble. Where is the equalizer? They're going to pop it now. Someday comes in. He gets into the back line. Space and Coco having a bit of a hard time, but Helper doing a great job of zoning on the outside. That is so much poke damage onto KT. KT just going to have to back off.
Yeah, it's not, and Coco still has a lot of mana, but
Edge goes straight into the fight. Ambition gets the kill. Arrow still killless right here. They're going to get him. Arrow falls without cashing in on the stacks. And KT gets desperate on the re-engage. Edge tries to go in and be the hero, but the rest of KT simply too low. Helper coming through for his team.
Yeah.
Had some great play in that team fight. Definitely a big change from our last match that we saw him play in.
Yeah, we had these questions about Helper, and he's just delivering so hard for CJ Entus. And he just saved the day for them pretty much with his just zoning, the equalizer, just the amount of damage he's about to put out. He's able to put out in these fights. And CJ Entus going for this dragon. Will we see a Bloodwater here? Probably not.
Probably not. Indeed, we shall not. And there we go. Coco
especially with 2 smites on the side of CJ Entis.
Yeah, Coco with a level 16 smite, so he gets it. So let's take a look at this again. I mean, KT was just completely bodied in this choke, and the Gnarl was okay. It got space in Coco, but considering that there wasn't follow-up because of Helper's Equalizer and his Flame Spitter in the choke, and then Edge tries to get the big play. Space has a nice flash in the end, and Ambition gets the kill. And look at this, there's just no mana either on Draven.
Well, the thing about that fight is that Someday on Gnar jumped into the backline and tried to get that Gnarl, but Space with the heads-up play spell shielded the Gnarl, and so he wasn't even knocked back, no stun, and he was able to just put out damage, and Someday had to back off at that point.
Well, this game has certainly been very intense so far. KT has the inhibitor down, but Baron goes over to CJ on the strength of that team fight. And you can see KT with a lack of engage. If you're KT, you don't want to just try and all in on that play.
Yeah.
You want to wait for them to walk through the choke. Just go ahead and take that dragon and force them into you so you can kite, because you don't have those primary engage tools. And especially after Gnarl is down, you certainly do not want to go in on that Azir. So CJ making it look a bit easy with all the poke that they have.
And just CJ in general has very good team fighting, so I don't know if Kate... Oh, that's a lot of damage.
This is one of those times where you actually start to think, maybe I need a Will of the Ancients on my Azir. I'm not even joking. Actually, Bjergsen will do that versus like AP champions or AP poke champions sometimes, and I think that's a very good build in this situation, because you can't just go back every time you get hit by a True Shot Barrage, because with the CDR from Ezreal, you're looking at one about every 30, 40 seconds.
And we have Ambition split pushing for CJ Entis, and this mid lane turret will go down. So CJ Entis up up over 3K, in fact, gold. And they're still looking to push. And Ambition is fairly tanky right now too.
Yeah, and without those kills, speaking of his Ambition's tankiness,
oh my lord,
who is going to be dealing the damage on this team? There's an Equalizer coming through. They want to engage Space on the front, but that's going to be it. They're just using it to zone off the turret while this Baron ticks down Someday.
Ambition getting low, but Someday also low himself. And even Coco's W is doing so much damage, and CJ Entis, just like that, gets 2 tier 2 turrets.
And a tier 1, so 3 towers. That helps to build up this 5K gold lead that they have right now. They've hit that late game. CJ looking good.
That was 1 Q.
Yep.
And they can get this turret. And will they get the inhibitor is the question here.
I like how people... Oh, wow. Score just going to go in with the parallel conversions. Helper's going to get low right off the start. Is he going to die? He actually goes down. And there's Draven cashing in a little bit late, but he'll take the money all the same. Mad Life has to use his ultimate, but it looks like they're not going to be able to actually finish off this inhibitor. Peekaboo healing up his team as best he can off of this poke.
Yeah, and Coco is pretty much out of mana at this point, so CJ Entis will back off, losing just Helper.
Well, but it's where that money goes, isn't it, in the end? And that is a lot more money now for Arrow to use. He really needed that, going to finish off his Trinity Force. That said, he's still going to have a bit of a hard time with damage. And this next Dragon fight is critical. 4 stacks the possibility for CJ.
Yep.
Helper will be up. He's going to have his TP.
And that will also put a timer on KT Rollster if CJ manages to get that 4th Dragon. Minute 30, and I think most ultimates are up with the exception of the Whirling Death. True Shot Barrage will be up soon enough.
Monsoon pretty critical though. All these ults will be up by the time the Dragon starts though. So don't have to worry too much about that. Someday getting some farm up in the top lane. We'll see what he goes back and buys. Looks like he's working on that Thornmail right now.
And Coco has so much AP right now. He's going for the Zonya's Hourglass next just to get that another 120 AP item. Ooh, that hit him, but will it hit him again? No, it doesn't. That'd be actually pretty funny. He gets hit on the way back and gets hit again in the fountain.
It would be more hilarious if he died.
Yeah. Oh man, if only, if only. Well, Ambition, split pushing again. The waves will be in favor for CJ Entis with the way Helper's pushing up that top lane as well.
Well, Someday has Flash, and when we talk about how to shut down AP Ezreal, he's very mobile, and if you don't have targeted CC, it is problematic to get back to him. So Someday is going to have a hell of a Mega Gnar. Oh, they're actually going to go for a pick right here. Edge, they get his Flash early on. That's very important. Again, flashing for the Azir wall is an engaged tool that they have, and Coco is so free in the back line of CJ because there's just not a lot of threat.
Yep, and Coco still at half mana, so he will be able to put out a lot of poke. And they're probably just going to get this right now.
Yeah, KT has no vision. That's going to be a free dragon for CJ. Someday can't do much of anything. He has no rage right now.
Well, Ambition leaving as a rear guard. True Shot Barrage is gone, so KT may want to fight this.
They're going to go. There's a Talisman getting rolling, and Score trying to make a play on the side. That is going to be a very late parallel convergence. Not really going to do a whole lot.
Edge took so much damage from just that one Mystic Shot, too.
Peekaboo just going to disengage with a bit of a whirlwind. And,
well,
yeah, that's it. I mean, CJ doing a great job of playing around this dragon. KT is scared, and they should be. I mean, once the AP Ezreal gets online, it's incredibly difficult to actually team fight.
Well, Baron is up in 35 seconds, so CJ may want to look for this one as well. Maybe force a fight here if KT is just going to sit back and farm. And on Score right now, establish some vision. Not a lot. And CJ will get Scuttle Crab control.
Yep, they have all the wards, and this game started so well. Very crisp play from KT early, but they just couldn't get enough advantages, even though they got that inhibitor down. One lost team fight. And honestly, this is just the power of the Runeglaive Ezreal right now. This champion is incredibly broken at the moment.
Well, it's also KT was playing so desperate to get, Arrow to cash in on his stacks, and they maybe continued some fights that they didn't need to continue fighting.
Yeah, that actually just hit Arrow, which isn't a big deal because he has so much lifesteal. That's a person you kind of don't want to hit with that True Shot Barrage. And yes, they were playing desperately, but with KT's advantage, you'd think that they would have a little bit more leeway, but the poke just a little bit too much. Somebody going to try and make a solo play onto Helper. There's the Randuin's Omen. Helper locked up right here. I'm not sure he's going to be able to get away from this, actually.
I think Helper should have just turned and fought, but oh dear. That's a W gone.
Misses the stun, and here we go. The rest of the team, they want to make a play right now. They think they've got a pick, but that is so much slow coming out, and they chase Coco and Helper all the way down, but can't actually finish it off. Space all by himself in the top lane. Now, can they go after the Baron right now just to clear out the wards? They're not going to be able to actually do it.
Yep, and mid lane's going to be cleared out. Oh, nope, he misses that wave.
Desperation Baron incoming from KT. They've got a lot of damage. Someday didn't even have time to fully heal in the base. They just are going to go for it. Boy. So risky. So risky, but they're going to get it before Ambition can arrive. Big equalizer, but all those Sand Soldiers move forward. They've got some defense. Edge just trying to escape right now. Mad Life with a triple knockup. Arrow with the cleanse in the back. But do they have enough? Yeah, Arrow's going to have to get out of there. Score. Does he have enough to get over the wall? Two members of KT down. And that, Someday may be the next to fall. He's got a lot of MR.
Coco's got no mana, but
he's going to get the hop up. He's going to be all right. The boomerang to the slow, but this is a good opportunity for CJ. They've got about 40 seconds to work with here.
But they'll be pushing up against Baroned up minions, so their progress will be slowed at least somewhat.
Well, if they can get this turret before those Baroned up minions get there, they will be absolutely fine, and they are going to grab it. So they're going to get an inhibitor, actually, for this Baron.
Are they going to rotate to the bottom side and take that open inhibitor as well? Oh, my.
Uh-oh. Ooh, Coco nearly getting caught out there.
And here we go. They're going to go for that bottom inhibitor, and they're going to take it very quickly.
Yes, they are. Someday wants to go in for the play, though. He's got the Mega Gnar coming through. Can he defend long enough? There he is, Mega Gnar. They have a few more hits, and CJ doesn't want to commit to that, especially Edge up in 1 second.
And also no minions for them at all. That huge wave pushing in the bottom side for KT Rolster. So, Dragon coming up in a minute 40.
A very back and forth game so far.
And CJ Entis just playing these fights so well. Helper has showed up today.
Yeah, he definitely has. Definitely has. Coming through when his team needed them. And his equalizers were responsible for CJ not losing fights while they tried to get this Runeglaive Ezreal up and where he needed to be. KT wants an inhibitor of their own. They have those Baroned up minion waves, but the wave clear is excellent from CJ.
They have a good mix of physical and magical damage to help take out these waves, and they have the 4th dragon stack as well. So they're just going to take out these minions super quickly.
But Dragon up in a minute. The best thing that may come out of this for KT is the fact that they will have Baron in any future Dragon fights.
Edge already at half health from just one true shot barrage.
I don't know if Mad Life wants to go in on that one, actually. He's going to take a lot of damage, and he's going to lose his ult immediately. That is not a good sign if they want to fight for this Dragon pretty soon.
Parallel Convergence is down. Someday is in Meganar form, so no big fight going to happen. But top side, ooh, 2 super minions pushing in.
No TP for KT either, and they can't go back right now. Because if they go back, they're going to be in trouble when it comes to this Dragon.
Well, if you're CJ right now, do you want to force a fight? The Mega Gnar is down, and KT Rolster is on the retreat.
Without that Alistar ultimate, you may be a little bit more wary, but Someday has been poked, as has Edge, to about 50% HP. There goes one Nexus turret.
Geez. They have to do something right now.
Well, they can't. CJ's been great about just keeping KT in this mid lane. It's a really rough decision at the moment. What do? You have to put down the Azir. Oh, that's huge that it didn't hit Edge. They're going to go for the Dragon. This is probably going to determine the outcome of this game.
They're going to lose that turret.
Uh-oh. CJ and
KT
cannot leave. Their recalls are going to get stopped. There's the equalizer coming through.
Great.
They're going to get the Dragon. Maybe. Yes, they will. KT grabs it. But can they last long enough for their Nexus not to die? Someday dies in the front line. Coco very low, and Arrow and Peekaboo has to escape. 3 down, and that's going to be it. CJ's going to take this game.
Helper should just TP right. Yes, there he goes.
He's going to go right away for the win. CJ has some great shot calling late to hold KT in the mid lane, so a very exciting game is going to end with a CJ Entis victory.
Well played by CJ Entis. KT Rolster looked so good in the beginning, but they just got desperate, I feel like. They tried to convert these fights they tried to take these fights that they should have just backed out of, I think.
There was really only that one fight around the Dragon that they took that I think was particularly not a good idea. All the rest of them, the dives looked very convincing, very clean, and KT took those edges, but Helper, he was the leg up in this composition. You take that Rumble, get the mid-game power so that you can get Ezreal enough items to actually come through in the end.
Yeah, and after those stinkers of an equalizers from his last set, he's shown that he can play just as well as any other top laner in this league.
Someday. Hard time after that loss for sure. KT taking that early advantage, but CJ with those early Dragons, that was the big difference. If